My dad was a wharfie, humble, true blue. My dad was a wharfie, his father too. From 1937 to 1982, working from Walsh Bay to Woolloomooloo. He'd stop at the Century for just a while, to face each day with a beer and a smile. Stand at the gate to get the panels out, to get a day's work so the family'd get by. Some days are lucky, you work like a dog. Some things you love, some things you flog. Down in the hole, it's always a trial. Tomorrow you're back on the hungry mile. Well, Dad hoped to Christ you'd get word today. The best Mom could do was silently pray. One on her breast and one on the way. The best we could do was live pay to pay. They call Sussex Street the Hungry Mile, where waterside workers stood single file to work on the ships every day. A new crew, 'cause lugging for the boss is all that he knew. Some days are lucky, you work like a dog. Some things you love, some things you flog. Down in the hole, it's always a trial. Tomorrow you're back on the hungry mile. Some days are lucky, you work like a dog. Some things you love, some things you flog. Down in the hole, it's always a trial. Tomorrow you're back on the hungry mile. Tomorrow you're back on the hungry mile.
Oh well, I was nominated by my father and seconded by a chap by the name of Fred A.B. in 1937, having just come off the track, so to speak, you know. And
what do you mean off the track?
oh, hoboing really.
Hoboing?
Oh yeah. Train jockeying, as I used to call it.
Train jockeying?
Train jockeying.
Whereabouts would you go?
Oh, all over the place, Victoria, Queensland.
So you travel a lot, eh?
Yeah, yes, quite a bit.
At the government's expense?
The government's expense, exactly.
Oh, right, good stuff.
And,
so you gave that away and went to the wars, eh?
That's true.
What's
yeah.
this nomination stuff? What do you mean by that?
Oh, well, one had to be nominated and seconded in those days by your fellow peers, you know, and
so it was a close...
just to see that you hadn't been any skullduggery like in that day they used to call it scabbing and whatnot, you know. You
so it was union, the union thing?
Yes, you had to be a clean skin, yeah.
Clean skin in the union, but your old man, in fact your old man was a wolf, he helped, didn't it?
That's right, yes. He was a wolfie. He had medal number 52, as a matter of fact. And I came in at 4686.
Which is what they up to
In
now.
1937, oh now, well they give numbers as they drop out. They refurbish a new member with the same number. Like, you know, there might be a member in there now with my father's number that has only been in, say, 5 or 6 years, something like that. So when the number becomes defunct, they give it to some other member, some new member.
What about the characters in those days?
Oh, characters.
What about the
The
louts?
place was full of them.
Full of louts?
Yes, if your name was, what's your name? If your name was Wilson, or Sykes, or, who was the other? Oh, it matters not, but if you're a Wilson or a Sykes, you're a boss, and if you're a Smith or Jones, you're a labourer.
Alright.
So, there was that many of them. There was about 5 or 6 Wilsons. Oh yes, of course, the James boys.
Yeah.
There was about 6 or 7 of them.
Alright, so they bosses.
You know, but well, that was in latter years. But early, they used to be the collar and tie and vest and fob watch type.
Alright.
You know, boss.
Oh yeah.
But then they got around to ex-wharf labourers, etc. You know,
Alright.
at Patrick's and whatnot. But
What about Rattlehead? What was Rattlehead?
no, well, that was at Patrick's. They had what's his name, Reg Reed, got the idea to take on so many wharf labourers and give them 3p an hour or 6p an hour more than the wharf labourers, to heal them up.
Right.
Well, that's what they used to call him, Reed, Hurls Beals. And they were running around like headless fowls and whatnot, you know. They used to give them all names, you know, and they had some fantastic names there, like, what's his name, the mass murderer, and Rattlehead, of course.
Rattlehead.
Yeah.
That's a winner.
In and out the windows, singlets. Yeah, he was always on your back. It was like, there's quite a few of them, but I just can't bring it to mind at the moment. It's that long ago.
So what you do as a wolfie in the hole? Did you have to go down the hole and that sort of stuff?
Oh yes, yeah, it was tough in them days. Everything was manual. There was no machinery hardly about, you know. You had to carry flour, which they don't do today. They just tip it in and pull it around, you know, over the floor. But you had to carry it in those days, and you had, you'd have anything up to 14 men below, you know, carrying flour. Just come in the gantries at White Bay, of Leave Island, and it was continuous, you know. They'd from the trucks outside, they'd put it on the gantry, what they call the gantry. You come through the shed and drop down the shed into the ship, you know, because you had to be there to take it and waltz away and stow it, see, on your back. And this got a bit monotonous after about 8 hours, you know. Just rushing around grabbing a bag of flour and putting it down, rushing back and grabbing another one, you know. And, well, then they, after a while, people were getting a bit sick of this, so they said you could only do it for, I think it was a fortnight or something, you know. That was 10 days, you know, and they'd change around. Oh, you should saw back and everything, you know. That didn't only apply to flour, that was wheat too, or oats, or whatever it was, you know. And wheat was heavier still, that was 200 pounds, or 198 or something like that. But these days they got machinery, you know, to do all this. During the war, when the Yanks come here, they introduced the pallet, you know, and the forklift. And everything was mainly done, they used to put forklifts down below then, you know. Well, that done away with the labour. All they had to do was just pick it up with a fork and stow it, you know, everywhere. That done away with a lot of labour below. They were one time, in front flour you'd have 14 men below, and then when the gang system came in, that was in the 50s, you had 8 men below, and then they shortened it up to 6. You had 2 men, 4 stackers in the shed and 2 in the gangway. Well, then they took 2 of the stackers away, and when they needed them, they'd replace them with, more men, build it up as they went. But it's changed a lot since I started.
So tell us about the Battle of Singleton. What was that like?
Well, we never actually got to Singleton. We were at Greta, based at Greta.
You used to deliver ice creams in a truck.
We only covered Brankston, Patterson.
These are rivers, are they?
No, they're Maitland, yes.
You used to deliver ice cream, take them around all the camps.
Yes, I was the ice cream deliverer to Rutherford and Largs. And, we used to have to go through Maitland to get to those places, or to Largs anyhow, and we used to come back and stay in Maitland, have a couple of beers before we went back to the camp, at Greta. But it was an all-day job, or we made it an all-day job, let's put it that way.
You had a driver with you, did you? Someone else with you?
No, I was the driver.
You were the only one person?
No, another bloke, bloke with us, deliveries.
Well, you had to unload the truck when you get there.
2 of us, yeah.
Unload it all.
So you developed that all-day skill on the
Was
walls?
it Peter's ice cream,
yeah.
or don't you remember?
You developed that skill on the walls, did you? That's something, you took something with you, eh?
Was it Peter's ice cream?
Yes, of course.
What about rough? Was it rough? I mean, the blokes tough, I mean, like blues and that sort of stuff.
On the walls?
Yeah.
Oh, yes, yes.
On the walls or
Yeah, we had a couple of real characters there at Central. Bunner Sykes, he was a real rough and tough gentleman, and Hogan, well known as Hogan. There's quite a few well-known thug identities, from the rocks.
All right. Did you ever get any blues yourself? Or?
No, not really.
Too smart, eh?
No, they're too smart for
But
that.
they used to call it Lofty or Sandy, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Sandy,
something
wasn't
like that.
Yeah, because of his hair and everything.
Bonehead or something like that. Dumbo, nothing like that.
This is the first piece of music that I learned when I was 15, when I went to Search College of Music, and this was the very first number I learned to play, their method.
and supervisors. You see. Well, Darling Island had about 8 or 9 foremen and 3 or 4 supervisors. Well, amongst the supervisors was a chap by the name of Egan, Alf Egan, who was commonly termed the goat, and a burning stump. His name was Donnelly, Sid Donnelly, and there were a few other names I can't think of at the moment, but in latter years that everybody got a name, you know, that they could put it to, and this supervisor, he came to Patrick's and he had the habit of, you know, as he was walking, because someone got on the idea of calling him Bob and Head, you know. Yeah, I thought that was really good, you know, a good nickname for him. But he wasn't a bad type of fellow either. But years ago, that Donnelly, he was a real character. I'd say he'd be about 4'10" and about 4'6" wide, you know, and very florid complexion. And a bloke, some used to call him Bonnie Leslie and some would call him the Burning Stump. Anyhow, a bloke came in with a load of wool there one day, and Donnelly happened to be standing inside the gate, and the bloke jumped out of the wagon, and he goes in the office and gets his paper signed, and out he comes and he cites Donnelly. And someone in the office must have told him to see Bonnie Leslie outside, see? He was standing outside the business, and the bloke waltzed out, and he said, "Who's Bonnie Leslie around here, matey?" And Donnelly looked at him and he said, "Donnelly's the name, mate." And the bloke in there said, "See Bonnie Leslie." He said, "Donnelly's the name." And it looked like fisticuffs at the tick of the clock, you know. Donnelly wanted to fight him, you know, over this Bonnie Leslie, but he didn't go much on it, you know. But in latter years, that Alf Egan, his son, he got a job at Macquarie, Stevedore. And they used to call him the young goat or the kid, you know. Anything like that. Huh?
What were you actually doing again?
Working on the waterfront up there. They sent 75 men or 5 gangs of 15 up to Townsville to supplement the workforce up there, and that's the first introduction we had to the gang system.
Yeah, right.
So the gang system wasn't in force in Sydney at that time. It only came in when we came back from Townsville. Right?
Right. What sort of blokes they sent up there?
They introduced it down there. There's a few. They couldn't say they were. Well, they had to get out of town. Let's put it that way. A chap by the name of Baldy Mason and Teddy Roach's brother, Spider. He was the bantamweight champion of Australia at one time, fighting.
There's a lot of Americans there, wasn't there?
Joey the Coon, as they call him.
That must be for
But there was 5 gangs, and we stayed there for 5 months.
Tell them how you nearly killed yourself up there.
Oh no, I dived in the ditch up there. They had a swimming pool on Cleveland Bay there, just down around from the town, opposite the Queen's Hotel, and it had a platform on it, but it broke off, you know. And we went to swim, had a day off there when they all went swimming there. And this Calderwood, or Coke as they call him, he was down. I climbed up the framework, you know. Of course, it's murky water up there. It's not, not clear. Mm-hmm. And he was fooling around down below there, and I happened to say to him, "How deep is it, Coke?" You know, and he must have been sitting on the bottom with his hand over his head, you know. I couldn't see it because I dived in and bang, hit me crumpet on the sand, just as well. I was a bad diver.
In hospital for 6 weeks.
No, I was in hospital for 6 weeks.
Oh, lying on flat on the board, yeah, he nearly broke something here, you know.
I thought I had a broken neck. So anyhow, it was fun. And everything was numb, you know. I couldn't. Anyhow, I was on a bed, no pillow or anything. It was padded, of course, you know. Only thin and.
Were you allowed to sit up at all on that?